Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Your host Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound, and today we're going to talk about the Monday Market Report, where we look at the most relevant modern post-1900 graded coins to have sold this past week. We have a pretty phenomenal list for you here today, and I will say the market is still holding strong, but we are beginning to see some various trends happening, which we'll talk about as we go through the video. But have no fear. There's some pretty neat, much newer coins on the list that you guys might be a little envious and possibly could be, the subject of a future maybe cherry picking activity or however you want to put it. It'll give you a little bit of extra perspective and motivation to find stuff like this, because I'm a firm believer that all this stuff is just hiding at coin shops, at shows, in possibly your collection. You just don't know that you have something really phenomenal. And with the market still going strong, I mean, we are heading into summertime, and some would speculate that the market has kind of plateaued, in the coming weeks to Memorial Day and going into the summer, where customarily coin collectors, dealers, investors usually kind of take a little time off to enjoy, some of the great things that summer has to offer, all right? And then it usually picks back up around September, October, when the holidays come in full swing. But we're still quite a bit of ways from that. And yeah, we're going to jump right in. But before we do, as always, tonight is Monday night, and we always have the live coin Q&A live stream. So go ahead and check us out on that channel. I am a part of that group. I'm happy to be a part of that group. And we're kind of coming up to a year here of just strong service to the community of that channel. So it's a lot of fun. Go ahead and check it out. We are going to go live 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. For all your coin questions, you can email us at info@livecoinqa.com. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to both of these channels. Your support will go a long way. All right, so all of the sales this week, of course, courtesy of Great Collections. We're going to go ahead and take a look and kind of review exactly some of the biggest sales. And there were quite a few, but I could only fit so much in this video for you. And we're going to start it off with a relatively modern Lincoln set. Now, this is a 1960 large date proof Lincoln Memorial set. This one right here is kind of tough because we're at a point age-wise where finding any sort of cameo coins can be a little bit of a challenge. All right, 1960 certainly fits that mold. This one right here is a PCGS Mint State 69 red cameo. We'll take a look at that here momentarily, and it is the large date, as you can see on that label. But what differentiates this coin from being a deep cameo? Well, it's real simple. The cameo frost effect isn't nearly as widespread on this coin. You'll look at Lincoln's hair right here, the front of his bust profile. You see a little bit of that cameo weakness, that frosting, and usually those are spots that are a little bit on the light side when it comes to these 50s and 60s proof sets. This one right here has just enough bite to it to give it a cameo contrast designation. This coin right here sold for $1,152. I found a number of these in the past, not quite a 69. That's a pretty good grade. But this is an opportunity for you guys to cherry pick some really nice cameo coins out of these earlier sets. All right, and then we only had 2 Lincoln cents on the list, which is crazy, but this is the first time I've ever talked about a 1909 S over horizontal S variety. This is a fantastic variety. It is not quite rare. I've found a few of these, not quite in this condition, but they are out there to be cherry-picked. Actually, the finest specimen I own is actually an AU53, so nothing really to write home to mother about. But this is a really cool variety, and you'll also notice that this is the non-VDB reverse initial type. All right, so just the regular 1909 S Lincoln cent. This one right here grades out PCGS Mid-State 66 red, and this one sold for $1,693.12. Pretty cool coin, worth quite a bit of money. My preference would obviously to find a really nice mid-state example somewhere down the line, and this is great. This is what we strive to look for. All right, so our feature coin of the week is going to be this 2005p Bison nickel. This is a coin, again, in 2005. The U.S. Mint had gone through a few little evolutionary changes with the coin. Different, engraving and design work during this time. And it actually caught on with collectors. And even to this day, people are looking for what we consider to be registry-worthy coins. Okay, some of the highest graded, finest known. Here's one right here. However, there's a little bit of a caveat with this. This is not like your garden variety Bison nickel. No, it's not. If you look at the coin, it's got a really even satin finish to it, and with good reason. The U.S. Mint had produced some collector-exclusive special mint sets from, I believe, 2005. I do know 2005 was the first year of this during this era, to 2010 or 2011, somewhere around there. So they had produced these special mint sets in limited quantities. I mean, they are extremely limited. You won't see too many of them out there. As a matter of fact, just looking on eBay, there are no special mint sets for 2005 that I could see on there. And then usually they'll pop up every so often, but the sets themselves as a raw kind of compilation is really not that expensive. All right. But where there's a lot of opportunity is going and buying one of those sets and then sending out maybe the best specimen of that nickel, or perhaps the $50 that's in there. And these all have that satiny special strike. This one is a PCGS SP70. No, it's not. it's not what it sounds like. SP70 would say, oh yeah, that's going to be our suntan lotion or sunblock. No, this one is not blocking anything at all. This is a really fine specimen. So how much does something like this go for? Well, you had seen the thumbnail, so, the spoiler is out. But this one sold for $4,726.12. Believe me when I say this. This is an incredibly worthy candidate of grading if you're able to find them. And the collector base is actually quite big for these satin strike coins. And it doesn't matter what denomination it is. There are collectors that are looking for these at the highest grade level. All right, we do have a different special mint set coin of a different sort, but this is more of what we're used to seeing, right? From 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint had produced a special mint set. Call it a hybrid of a proof set and a regular mint set, because they didn't produce either of those. But due to the public demands and outcries at that time from the collector base, they wanted some sort of collector set. All right, if they weren't going to do a proof set for a few years, they wanted a replacement. Here you go. This is the one. This coin right here is a PCGS SP67 Plus Deep Cameo. Deep Cameo coins of the special mint set era from 65 to 67 are incredibly difficult to find. All right, so again, another cherry picking opportunity. The sets themselves are relatively affordable. They can be out for like 10 to 12 bucks. And really the only driving force in those sets is the 40% silver Kennedy. So people pay up because they see the silver in there. But aside from that, this is just a phenomenal looking coin with a lot of star power. It's got a lot of originality. It's something that you don't commonly come across in this particular cameo state. This one right here sold for $2,418.75. Nice chunk of money for this one. And the final Jefferson nickel of the bunch, although we have a bunch of other nickels, and this one right here is a 1958D. Incredibly tough grade, a tough date to find with full steps designation. This one right here is quite sharp. The strike is really nice. as you would expect for a lot of Denver coins during this time. This one right here, obvious registry set inclusion at a PCGS mid-state 67 plus. FS means it has full steps. Beautiful coin. And this one sold for $3,152.25. All right, so we have a number, actually a string of Buffalo nickels, and we're beginning to see more people kind of gravitate their money towards some of the classics and more obsolete coins. Buffalo nickels has always been popular, and we're seeing it more today as supplies of more of the classical coins are kind of drying up out there. Even a lot of websites that I normally go to buy a type coin that's graded, they probably have half the amount of inventory than what they normally do. All right, so we're beginning to see kind of these preliminary chips to fall, excuse me, of coins that normally you don't have a problem finding, 2 years ago, but today, because of just the overall demand for physical collectibles, these are drying up in the marketplace. Even coins with a common date, such as 1928. This is a Philadelphia minted coin. Don't be fooled by the little bit earlier date, because this is also a coin that, if you wanted to find a mint-state example of this coin raw, you could find it for under $100. However, someone cherry-picked the snot out of this coin because it's a beaut. It's a PCGS mint-state 67. And this one sold for $3,436.88. Keep in mind, the coins that I'm going to talk about as far as Buffalo nickels are not the highest graded examples. These are what I commonly refer to as kind of like the tier 2 types of these coins. Kind of like the next level down in terms of just value and price. And we have another one right here, this time a 1925, also a Philadelphia coin. This one is really well struck compared to the 28 that we just looked at. Nice, beautiful satiny luster. PCGS mint-state 67. It's also CAC certified. Just a beautiful, wholesome coin. This one right here is sold for $4,910.62. And then we also have a 24. This time it's a Denver minted example. All right, so this one right here, we're getting progressively tougher. When you start to dive into Denver and San Francisco minted 20s coins, that's where things get a little bit precarious, in a good way. It can be a good way if you have these coins and you're able to generate some sort of mint state 65 and up type grade from these particular dates with the mint marks, then you have something really good. All right, something that the secondary market definitely would embrace. This one right here is a mid-state 65 plus. It's not a 66, it's not a 67, but it's that Denver or San Francisco mint mark that plays a huge difference in the values of these coins. This one's also CAC certified, and this one sold for $4,331.25. 1921, this one's also a Philadelphia. These coins in Philadelphia are getting a little bit tougher. Once you get beyond like 1925 in a Philadelphia, finding one that's a high mint-state example ungraded is pretty tough. It's like a needle in a haystack type story. This is another one. This one, PCGS mint-state 67. Just look at how incredibly clean the devices, the portrait, the reverse, the fields. This thing is nary a distracting mark on it. And that's what people love, and people will overpay. Maybe not overpay. They'll pay to the market, right? Because that's why coins have been going up, is people will pay to, based off of their worth. And this one right here sold for $4,331.25. That's the same price as the previous coin, actually. There you go, 1920, same thing. Different verse, same as the first, I guess, if that makes sense. Same grade, mid-state 67, just the date's different. It is a Philadelphia coin. Nice bright white example, and this one sold for $4,500. And then finally, we got 1919. I've actually owned a few. I don't think I have any in my inventory, but I've owned a few 1919s, graded like mid-state 65, and they're super affordable. People love kind of like that grade. But how about Mint State 67 Plus, this time through NGC? Pretty incredible grade. So close to 68. I believe 68 or 68 Plus is the high top pop for this coin. But this one right here, just a beauty. And it sold for $9,000. We have a few dimes, and of course, no Roosevelts, but we have some really pretty Mercury dimes. Of course, we're going into the obsolete age of coinage, where they don't make these anymore. So we got 1945S. And one thing you'll notice with the few dimes I have on display for you today is that you don't necessarily need the full split bands. Some people are just really eager to find full split bands coins, when sometimes all you have to do is find a really clean coin, or find a coin with some original coloring on it. I mean, these are all things that people are looking at with today's collectibles market. They're looking kind of like for the alternatives. This is one of them right here. So as you can see, it's a PCGS Mint State 67 Plus, no full bands. I mean, this one is about flat as you could get right here on these middle band sections. But again, this is a coin that exhibits some of the prettiest toning that you will ever find, and that's the primary reason that this one sold for the amount of money it did. This one sold for $2,587.50. Put it into perspective, if it did not have the toning, this probably would have sold for about $1,000. And that's how much of a premium that collectors put on a coin like this. They really do covet the color. So here is, a blast white example, 1944 Philadelphia minted coin. This one does have full bands, however, and it is a common date for full bands. Mint State 67 on this one, so it's a pretty nice, generous grade, and it is in an original green holder. You can just see the original labeling right here. This one sold for $1,201.50. Again, another coin right here that does not have full bands, but boy, is it really nice. It's a nice original type piece. It could be both a registry coin. It could also be something just for a type. 1930 is not a wildly rare date by any stretch, but it does get a little bit tougher from here on down. And at Mint State 67 through NGC, this is a really good looking coin. It's also part of the Sunset Collection. They are at week 150, and this one sold for $1,306.12. And the final dime of the bunch is going to be this 1928S. All right, now we talked about toning. This is not obviously the toning of that 1945, but it does show some of its crust and some of its original skin. And that's, again, what collectors want. They want originality, coins that haven't been dipped or played with. And like some of the others that we talked about, this one does not have full bands. So, again, another coin to certainly target, or maybe just overall appearance is something you should target. And it doesn't matter if it's this or a quarter or a nickel or what have you. The originality and color really commands more desirability for these coins. This one's also CAC certified, again, no split bands, and this one sold for $2,792.25. All right, and we're going to end it off on two quarters here. We got 1951S. Again, just a pretty coin. You can imagine this thing was sitting in an album for a few decades in order for it to obtain the coloring that you see here. Check out the grade though, Mint State 68. Oh goodness, it's through NGC. It's also CAC green beaned as well, and this one sold for $1,746. And then finally, we're gonna just kind of end it off on a variety that I've never talked about here on the video, or on my channel rather, is the 1943S Washington quarter that exhibits the trumpet tail S. So it's got kind of like that flared out trumpet horn look right here at the bottom. Really neat variety. I've never owned one of these. I've actually never looked for it. But this coin is incredible. It's got that original toned skin to it. It's a PCGS Mint State 67. So if you guys are looking for a really nice top to bottom kind of variety that's a little bit underrated and maybe perhaps under the radar, this is the one right here. And there are a few coins similar to this within the Washington Quarter series that haven't quite come out of its, development as far as rarity or popularity. But people do like the kind of like the mint mark varieties and transitionals of that type. But anyways, this one sold for $2,646. Just a really, really cool looking coin. I'm glad this one was the last on the list. But that's going to go ahead and do it for today. I hope you guys had fun on this episode of the Monday Market Report. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Hit that bell for instant notifications if you haven't done so already. And Coinaholics, we are discovering together. You guys take care. Have a wonderful coin week, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.